I'm going to go ahead and explain this level of ignorance, although normally I would have ignored this person's comment, simply because I find it incredibly offensive when another person of color refer to themselves or others of likeness in this format. But ignorance, notwithstanding the ignorance, this crazy. Abel have his best, Cain didn't. It's that simple. And willingly ignorant. Well, first, sir, I'm going to give you the benefit of the doubt and say you didn't spell check anything that you wrote. Because Abel have his best, Cain didn't. I know you meant Abel gave his best, Cain didn't. And he's saying it's that simple. It's that simple because that's the doctrine to which you have been taught and that you believe. And you're saying willfully ignorant. It is obvious to me that you've actually never studied this book nor understood what this book is actually saying. You say that Abel gave his best. Nowhere in this book does it say that Abel gave his best in Genesis. It does not say that in Genesis. It says that Abel gave the first of his flock. That part it does say, and Cain gave his harvest, fruits and vegetables. But as we see repeated in the Old Testament, and what you really got to focus on is the Old Testament, because you have similar writers in the Old Testament. Because if you don't know this, maybe let me help your ignorance. The book Genesis was written in and around the 500s, the 6th century BCE, by Hezekiah and his scribes during and after the Babylonian captivity, as a way of reaffirming the southern kingdom of Judah, especially against the northern kingdom of Israel, because they were now going to only worship Yahweh. So there were a lot of changes made. So this theme in the book is giving of the first fruits. You see it here. You also are going to see it in other parts of Genesis. You're going to see that in Exodus, and you're going to see that in Leviticus, where you're giving your firstborn males and your firstborn male animals from your herds. This is a recurring blood oath, blood sacrifice thing that you see in this book, because during the time frame of Hezekiah and the southern kingdom of Judea, this was how they represented their worship towards Yahweh. When they say that we will no longer worship Baal, but we will now only worship Yahweh, this was the common thread, the common thing that they did at that time frame. So the Cain and Abel story is not about somebody giving their best. Modern day doctrine has changed it so that you think that Cain didn't give his best, but Abel gave his best. This is just you sitting, listening to a preacher and thinking that you're gaining knowledge when you're really just gaining the repetitive stance that they've had for the last 50, 60, 70, 80, 100 years, instead of you going out and doing research yourself. But my brother, I hope that you learn how to speak to another brother and not speak to one in such ignorance as to use the terminology that you are using. It has never been, nor will it ever be, a term of endearment. It is the negative term that it was originally created for. But you have a great day, and remember always, you got to free yourself to be yourself, because your greatness is non-negotiable. Good journey, good vibration.